Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
Just want to say to America, you are welcome. Because we ended the show when we did last Tuesday, that's why all those calls came in right as soon as we hung up. Because if we were still here, there's no way that they would have called all those races in the midterms.
Impossible. Yeah. Look, we said we were going to wait until we had some definitive answers on a lot of things, whether the Democrats were going to hold the Senate or the House or the Republicans were going to take over both chambers of Congress. Look, and like Brad said, everything was kind of at a standstill for the most part nationally when we signed off last week on Tuesday. And look, if I could give a perfect visual representation of how things went for the Democrats during Tuesday, now that we're back, I think this, if you're watching video, is about right. Right here, buddy. Fucking aviators on. Joe Biden and the Democrats kicked tremendous ass. As I saw it on Twitter, red wave, more like a light spotting. Devastating. Not in 20 years has the in-party kept control of the Senate during a midterm election.
And the last time it happened was literally right after 9/11. So you can really barely count that, honestly.
Right. And we all understand the reasons behind that and everything else, good or bad, mostly bad, right?
Yeah.
But the Democrats came out big, and we'll talk about which particular demographics came out huge, and in a big way. And actually, one of them, I'm reading more data on it. I was actually surprised it wasn't as high as I thought it would be. But we'll talk about it. So let's jump right into it. Right off the bat, man, Biden's first president in 20 years to hold the Senate at the midterms. Look, I know like Elizabeth Warren came out and said like this credit goes to Joe Biden. I think it partially goes to Joe Biden. I think it goes, the biggest group it should go to, young people. 100%. The one demographic that everyone goes, you can't depend on them. Bunch of goddamn kids. They're the worst, right? These are all quotes I've said publicly.
Now they're so dependable. Republicans are going to try to stop them from voting.
Yeah, more on that later. In the worst possible way. Not come to our side. Just no. That's just the best they could come up with. But young people came out big. They really did. Obviously, women did too, but not as big as you think they did, which is interesting. But we'll get to the numbers on that.
Well, plus not only that, but not only young people, but also like young people of color as usual, because white people tried their best to fuck this shit up once again.
They did. White people did their level best of really screwing the pooch on democracy. But yeah, thankfully, the kids are all right, as they say. Young people came out. Well, first off, women made up 52% of the 2022 midterm votes and chose House Democrats by 8 points over Republicans. That's pretty huge. However, that is 6 points less than in 2020 and 7 points less than in 2018. Right. So still,
which is wild to me. Like this is in the wake of the Dobbs decision. Like you would have figured that you would have seen a lot more women coming out for Democrats that maybe wouldn't be normally inclined to vote Republican.
Right. And so like that's why I said, like, I was shocked at that number. I was like, yeah, of course women broke more for Democrats. Like, duh. Like, that's obvious. But across the board of all women, women were just kind of like they weren't hyped about it. And I think that has everything to do with Republicans' move to release that information in the summer. It was a hotbed issue, but then other hotbed issues came up over time, and people were just like, this isn't my issue, right? Like, by the time we got to an election. So Republicans were actually pretty smart about dropping that information in the summertime. However, while women did not come out in, insane numbers, not record numbers, you know who did come out insane in record numbers for Democrats? Young women. because young women didn't forget about that shit at all. Not at all. Exit polls show that 72% of women between the ages of 18 to 29 voted for Democrats in House races nationwide. 72%. That is an insane number. That is so insane that I need you to actually only slightly pay attention to the 72%, but pay attention to that age range of 18 to 29.
Yeah.
Because, hey, maybe if you raise the voting age, more on that later, to 21, it ain't going to really make that much of a difference.
No, but again, like I can't just again the whole Dobbs decision seems like such an unforced error in a lot of ways because of course these people, of course young women are going to come out and vote against this shit because they're the ones that are directly impacted by it.
Absolutely.
Potentially. So
yeah, like later on when we get to the conversation about Democrats passing, or Democrats and some Republicans getting a cloture vote on the Respective Marriage Act, I'm going to prove to you that Republicans don't give a fuck about marriage equality. And I don't mean that as far as like they don't want it to happen. I mean they literally don't care about the issue. Like they quite literally don't care about it. And I don't think they care about abortion either. And I'm talking about Republican politicians here. 77% of young women voted for John Fetterman over Dr. Oz. 77% in Pennsylvania. That is insane. Like they never had. That is a demographic they will likely never get back. Republicans will never get back, and those women will trend older, obviously, over time, and they will continue to be ferociously against.
Right. No, not without a serious pivot in position with regard to like social policy that currently exists in the Republican Party.
And I don't see that happening. Not in the next 20 years. No. Like both parties would have to they would have to just be like, would you like to switch policy stances? And Republicans would hand them a blank piece of paper, and Democrats would hand them an actual piece of paper with policies on it. But no, I think without some sort of unbelievable change, I think they've lost women for a generation. Like I think they have. The best they can hope for is that some Republicans down the line in very close future times say, you know what? Hey, man, knocking down Roe was a really bad idea. Let's get back on board with fixing this. I don't see that happening, but I don't see how you win women back over on this. I really don't.
I don't know.
Especially this.
Like I said, I think as the generations move, I think that even the Republican Party will come to shift on that position somewhat. I know people,
they have
older, you tend to shift Republican, but you're right. Like with respect to abortion, with respect to gay marriage and equal protection for LGBTQ people, they have to shift over time because the generation that's coming up now have always had these protections and this kind of look at fairness and equality in place for these groups. And I don't think they're going to accept a regression to the mean. There will obviously be some, but I'm saying on a wide scale. No.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. But again, over 70% is absolutely insane. A competing poll, AP Votecast, shows that same gender divide among midterm voters, but in muted form. 58% of young women reported voting Democrat compared to 47% of young men. According to that poll, only 49% of all women voted for Democrats compared to 43% of men. Again, women are coming. Like, that, like I know people are like, make the joke, the future's female. Yeah, sure it is. Read the tea leaves, my man. Like it is. Like it's very, very real. And women are becoming more educated. Like per capita, women are becoming more educated, and they vote, and they vote consistently. So, all right, like you can think that inflation is the pocketbook issue of the day or whatever, but their rights as human beings is going to always trump that. It always will. And the fact that, again, this is the one thing that conservatives, for some reason, is a stat they do not get. 1 in 4 women in the United States have had an abortion or know a close family member or friend who's had an abortion. 1 in 4, dude. And if you go, not the woman I'm with, it's probably because she don't trust to tell you that shit. So 1 in 4 is fucking high. That means you've lost, you've lost a quarter of the electorate writ large, or a quarter of the female vote writ large. Like, that's crazy. And then take men who support those women. You've lost them. Like, you can't get them back. So it is fascinating. But yeah, young women came out strong. So I really thank you. Thank you for saving democracy, honestly. Like, young people, again, I have been like recorded saying you cannot trust young people when it comes to voting. I wish that you could. You can't. Yeah, I was happily wrong. Young people were pissed, and they should be pissed. This is your future. It's a bunch of Dianne Feinsteins and Chuck Grassley's making shitty decisions on your behalf and then dying in the next 2 years.
Yeah, wow. And again, it's not like the people who are 16 now are you're gonna give them some big reason to vote Republican in 2024. Like, those people are absolutely 16, 17-year-olds now are absolutely in the same area on these issues as the people that are 18, 19, 20.
Hey, guess what? Election. Guess what? Those 16-year-olds are even more liberal. Like, they're even more liberal. They're like, 18. Look how old and dumb and out of touch these 18-year-olds are. They're gonna be even more liberal, dude. Like, I get that in the past, like, as people get older, they become more conservative. And that's true to an extent.
I think it's true on specific issues.
Right. Like,
I think there's some issues that are ingrained.
True.
Yeah, I think there are issues that are ingrained generationally.
Yeah. But like, you have kids who are growing up in a time where, like, okay, let's say you're 16. Okay, let's say your parents are like 40. Right? Like, your parents grew up in time. I'm 40, right? Like, let's say I had a 16-year-old kid. I grew up in a time before 9/11 and saw how conservatives change the entire country based on that insanity, right? Like, I've seen all of that. It is 100% likely that I push those opinions of, like, the world that I saw and watch conservatives destroy it onto my kid. So hell yeah, they're going to be more liberal. Like, and there's a lot of people who've grown up in that. Sure, I know what people would say. Well, for every version of you, there's a conservative version of you that has pushed these conservative views on their kids. Yeah, that's true. Here's the difference. There's more of me than there are of them. Mm-hmm. They just are. So, and we see that all the time. Every election is just like, Democrats come out, Hillary Clinton beat Donald Trump by 2 point something million votes. Joe Biden beat him by 7. Like, okay, like, I don't know what proof you need, right? Like, but the country is more and more liberal. There are just people who don't want to go by that label. But when it comes down to policies, and especially things like women's, body autonomy and gay rights and things like that, they're very, very liberal on that shit. And you're not going to break them from it, because those are moral issues for them. And I mean, they are moral issues, but definitely for them, they're deeply seated moral issues. This story I found to be funny. This is all under the auspices of the midterm elections. Far right Republican who called for, quote, more gallows wonders if GOP had a messaging problem. You did. Yeah, you had a really bad one. What the fuck is wrong with you? Wendy Rogers.
I told you when we were doing the election coverage that, like, I really just wanted to see, like, the meltdown if Democrats were to hold on to both chambers of Congress. And I didn't think it was going to happen. Fortunately, the conservative meltdown still came through, with Democrats retaining control of the Senate and only losing a very slim number of seats in the House. Like, so my favorite thing was watching, like, the 2 days after reaction from Fox News pundits trying to, like, freak out, like, as how this could possibly happen. Like, that was amazing. It was great.
I did enjoy, I have to tell you, I did enjoy the fact that while they did freak out, they freaked out in a more reasonable way. Like, they didn't just start screaming that it was rigged.
Right.
They were just like, we've made a grave mistake. Like, we and then they started just throwing the blame on Trump, which they should. Like, that's accurate. And we'll get into that. But, like, I was surprised that they didn't go full denial. Which I appreciate. I was like, good, thank you. Please don't do that.
And not only did they not go full denial, but, like, the big fear especially in a lot of these state races, where the amount of like Trump supporting election denial candidates that were running in all these races. And in all of the swing state races, like literally every single one, the election denying Trump backed candidate lost.
Yep.
But with the exception of Carrie Lake, who came out today and said she was going to contest the results of the election.
Oh, by all means, please do.
Yeah, and Mark Fincham, who is the Secretary of State nominee in Arizona, who said there's no way we lost Maricopa County. I'm like, really? Maricopa County is the one that you're going to stake all your hopes on? Okay, Mark Fincham. Like,
you mean where people live? All right,
yeah.
Cool,
so both of them are in Arizona, but aside from those two, and honestly, Carrie Lake's just doing it to prove fealty to Donald, so she can be on the ticket. Besides those two, though,
that ain't happening.
Every single one of these, I think it might.
No, he's not gonna pick a loser. Yo. He's not gonna pick a loser.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Yeah. But aside from those two, every single other election denial candidate not only lost, but conceded.
Yes.
Like came out and offered the customary concession to their opponent. In some cases, it took a couple of days. Like Doug Mastriano was kind of laying low for a few days.
Because at first he was like, I don't know. Like, dude, you got routed.
Like you got beat by double digits, dude. Like you just need to come out here and take this L.
Yeah, he's like, fine, get him on the line. I don't want to call.
But the fact that like they built this whole candidacy on like, oh, the big lie and the election was stolen from Trump, and we're going to make sure this never happens again. They couldn't even follow through.
No. It wasn't. Well, it tells you that like even they don't buy into the big lie.
Well, which was surprising. Like I said, I expected to hear a ruckus or a fight from all these fucking idiots, and like I said, not a one except for the one that you would expect them to hear from the most.
Yeah. Look, again, I was happy to see those clips on Fox News. I mean, their responses were, they weren't reasonable. They were more reasonable than I thought they would be.
My favorite had to be Jesse Waters bemoaning the loss of women as a voting group for the Republican Party. He's like, we got to get these broads married or something. Like, can't let the man so that he can tell them how to vote. I guess
can't let these chicks out here on their own. I mean, what do they got? Like their own minds? Hell no. By the way, I'm gonna go slash my wife's tires again to just get her to hang out with me. So I'm a creep. That guy really did that, by the way. Like he admitted.
I remember hearing that story.
Yeah, people were just like, let's leave that guy on the news. I'm like, that guy's got some rapey vibes, man. Like, get that guy off of fucking TV. Also, I remember when he did that really, really racist fucking Chinatown thing.
Chinatown thing. Yeah.
Oh my god, Ronnie Chen.
That was his claim to fame. That's what got him. That's what got him a time slot on pre Hannity or pre Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, and that's how I learned about Ronnie Chen from The Daily Show, who fucking eviscerated him, which was awesome. Guy's one of my favorite new comedians. Yeah, look, I did enjoy. I have to say, I was actually, I don't want to say proud, but it was nice to see them not lean into that. But what it tells me is the big lie for them isn't really that's not their bread and butter. They did it, like you said, to pay fealty to Trump. It wasn't ever a thing that they truly believe. Because if it's a thing you truly believe, why wouldn't this election also be rigged?
Yeah.
So, especially in an off year and Democrats are supposed to lose, right? They were like, Democrats are going to lose 50 seats in the House.
I saw this poll in Trafalgar that said Republicans were going to win by 25 points.
Trafalgar. Yeah. I don't have an article on polling, but I've seen a number of conversations by the pros talking about the thing that we've been talking about for weeks. Yeah, the polls, a lot of those polls were bullshit, and they just fed into those aggregators. And instead of the aggregators like 538 and everyone else and Real Clear Politics, instead of them dismissing those polls out of hand, but they would have been called, cheaters or whatever, they kept them in and they weighted them. And when you weight a bunch of D-list fucking polls, it makes people think that these guys are actually in the lead when it was way more toss up than they said.
You were 1,000% right. I know that wasn't an original idea, but you were the first person that brought it to my attention. So
yeah, but I mean, like when I saw that article, I'm like, and I'm reading these polls, and I'm like, joesbasement.org, what the fuck is this? Like, this is not a real poll. Like, get out of here. And then they made the point of like they were purposely using not only poor polling information, but they were purposely using antiquated technology. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this feels like, and I thought, like, look, I'm amplifying that article. I didn't come up with that idea, but I'm amplifying that article and that idea. But the way I read it was incorrect, right? Like, I read it as, yeah, sure, this is bullshit. And the race is a lot closer if you look at like the genuine polls. But I thought they were going to use that as a jump off point for if they did lose to say, it's all rigged, fucking storm the Capitals, right? Like that's what I thought.
That's what Mark Finchem is doing. So like Mark Finchem, who again ran for Secretary of State in Arizona, and lost, is literally saying, "Oh, look at the polls. Like there's no way we lost." I'm like, bro, you can't. Polls are not evidence. Like that's not how this works.
Yeah, dude, you lost.
Big dummy.
Yeah.
I did find it interesting that so going from the federal side, which again, Democrats not only held the Senate, might even pick up a seat in the Senate, which is insane.
Yep.
Only lost, I want to say, it's not, we don't know for sure yet, but it's probably going to end up being somewhere in the ballpark of like 8 to 9 seats in the House, which again is enough to flip the majority to Republicans, but not typically what we see in these midterm elections. Usually we see, 20, 30, 40, seat swings.
I mean, shit, Obama lost 60 his first midterm.
Yep.
Trump lost 40.
Trump lost, I want to say, like 40,
it was 40 something. Like it was in the 40s.
But we also won big, like on a state level as well, where we were not expecting to. So like Pennsylvania flipped their state legislature for the first time in about 20 years. Michigan has a Democratic trifecta in their government for the first time in a very long time as well, which is great.
And Minnesota.
And Minnesota as well, yep. Lost Florida. Florida, again, if you listen to us, you would have been surprised at this result. Florida's a red state. Let's stop pretending that it's not a red state at this point.
I heard the best explanation for this, it's just speculation, and I think it's dead on. Mm-hmm. Florida has become redder and redder. Why? Because Democrats are like, I need to get the fuck out of here because climate change.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are moving out of Florida. And it could be. I don't know. I'd have to look at the stats of like people actually leaving the state. But yeah, if you're like, yo, why am I getting closer to water? It seems like a bad idea, especially in a state that's not going to do anything until like, fucking water's pouring onto people's houses from the ocean. Right. Yeah, it makes sense. It would make sense that people would just be like, I'm good. And also, it's just become more conservative over time, right? Like, and I don't mean like, hey, they win a couple elections. I mean, quite literally, they've just become more and more extreme. We got to ban these books. We keep putting in people like Ron DeSantis and stuff like that. I'd be curious if people are just kind of done.
Well, that brings me to DeSantis because I found it very interesting, and a lot of people pointed this out. So like DeSantis won big in his reelection campaign. And in the wake of Trump's candidates having a really bad night, he's now the guy, right? Like he's the inevitable candidate for the Republicans in 2024, the guy to take on Trump. But I find it funny that those same people aren't talking about Gavin Newsom, who won re-election like mightily.
Gretchen
Whitmer, who again not only won re-election like well in hand, but helped to flip the entire legislature in her state.
Exactly.
Democratic. If you want to look at another Republican, Mike DeWine won by double digits in his reelection campaign in Ohio, which again is also a red state, but he outperformed JD Vance considerably in that state. So it's just funny that DeSantis is like looked at as the next guy, but no one's given the flowers to all these other candidates, all these other governors who crushed in their reelection bids.
You know why? Because the story is about Trump. Ultimately, right? It is the Republican Party finally has an off ramp. Now, I think Ron DeSantis is like getting like that off ramp. I think just throws you back into the same fucking highway. Ultimately, but he's more sane than Trump is. Like Trump is just like nicknames and fucking bullshit, where DeSantis is, I think DeSantis is not a particularly like dynamic or smart politician, but he's smarter and more dynamic in politics than Trump is, right? Trump is a showman. And he's a showman who won a fluke election through some shady fucking shit. But that's all he can do. He can't deliver on like moving the country, moving policy and stuff like. He can't do any of that. He's a showman, right? Like he's a guy. He can be like, "Come to the circus. It's really great. It's really great." And then it's like, "All right, cool. I'm here." And he's like, "They're in the circus. Like, I don't have any of that shit. Like, talk to the nerds in the back. They do that." Like, that's all he can do. Where I think DeSantis is going to have a hard time. Like, I feel like Republicans are just like, he won. He's the guy. He's a name we know. But DeSantis has no charisma. And
no charisma.
One thing Republicans like, they like a fighter, and they like that fucking, like, they want to feel like they've got that addiction now of like the TV guy. They're going to miss that. They're going to miss that in DeSantis.
They need a daddy. And Ron DeSantis is not a daddy. So
no, he kind of like, he's looking for one himself. He's a bit of a weirdo.
Someone pointed out, and I swear to God, I'm not trying to shade you specifically with this, that if he were to become president, like, it's kind of tough because he's like 5'7", 5'8", and most presidents are usually at like 5'11", 6 foot tall.
You know what? Like, I support Ron DeSantis at this point, out of spite. Just to stand mightily on an apple cart or apple crate with my people.
He's shorter than you.
I know. I look down on him for many reasons.
As you should. Yes. As you should.
So he's 5'6". Wow.
It's like, I think it's like 5'7" or 5'8". I don't remember exactly what it was. Right. But he's a short guy. He's a little guy.
Right. He's still below me. That's all that matters. Yeah. As long as I can stand above him, figuratively and literally, it's fine.
Well, and what would be annoying is that he is the type of guy that would have to do what a lot of these Republican candidates would have to do, or try to do in these more purple states, where he's going to run a very different campaign in the primary than he will when he gets to the general election. Like in the primary, he's gonna try to out crazy the other Republicans because that's what those voters want, apparently. But then he has to look like a sane person once he gets up against a Democrat.
It's always a hard pivot for them.
Yep.
It always is. It's way easier for a Democrat to give sane, reasonable policies and pivot to, sane and reasonable policies. Like Democrats' biggest issue reaching sort of rural America is to convince them that the lies that are told about them aren't true. Republicans are like, don't listen to what I said 5 minutes ago.
Right.
And if you're a Republican, you're like, that's not true. What did Joe Biden have to pretend that he didn't say in the fucking primary? Donald Trump is like, no, it's cool. I'm not gonna, try to basically ban abortion and all these other crazy wackadoo things. Look, you can look in this midterm. Republicans ran hard into that shit. Then a couple weeks before the election, they stopped talking about it.
Yeah.
Because they have to stop. They can't let regular fucking non-MAGA nutcases know the shit that they really believe.
Well, and even DeSantis put a stop to that as well, because there was like the Florida legislature wanted to roll out like a 6-week ban in Florida, and he was like, "No, don't do that." He's like, "That's a terrible idea." Like, what? The fuck
you're gonna fuck me over.
Yeah.
Wait until the election's over, then do all the repugnant shit you want.
Yeah.
I don't care. So yeah, look, DeSantis winning, making him the quote de facto new leader of the party, is just an exit strategy for them. For the first time, they can actually leave Trump and pick another guy.
But there was also an interesting piece in the Post that somebody put up saying, like, Ron DeSantis finds himself in the same position, like in an unenviable position, because like he's in the same position as guys like Jeb Bush.
Yep.
Were at one point in time, or John Edwards, or people like that were like, oh yeah, this is definitely the guy, or Hillary Clinton. Hey, this is definitely the guy. Oh, who's this Barack Obama guy that's coming up over here? Oh, this guy's fucking cool shit.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I heard someone mention this the other day, and I thought it was a pretty good point. It's like, well, obviously Ron DeSantis is going to run for president. Is it obvious? Because if you're Ron DeSantis, you know that Donald Trump is running now. That's obvious. That unfortunately we'll have to talk about that later. But Trump is running. That is a definitive answer now. He can, even if he wins, he's only there for 4 years. You're still young. If you run now and you lose to him, you're fucked. Your career is done.
I'm gonna take the opposite approach. I think I talked about this.
But hold on,
show.
because let me give the other side to that.
Okay.
Right? You're fucked. That's my opinion. I think that I would put Ron DeSantis in the same avenue as I would put a Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio got so embarrassed by Trump in that primary. Marco Rubio cannot run for president anymore. That is over. You are forever a senator. Now, DeSantis could lose, go back to Florida, be the governor there for a while, and do his thing or whatever, and decide maybe in a long time he could try to run for president again. But he would be stopped for the good 8 to 12 years. Like it would be a fucking wrap for him. But if he wins the primary, Trump's not going away. Trump's not going to go hold hands with you and say we got to beat the Democrat. Trump's going to make it his personal mission to destroy you. He will do it throughout the primary. He will do it if you happen to win, which would be fucking damn near impossible at that point with Trump looming in the background with all these MAGA idiots with him. If you happen to get over the border and beat the Democrat, you think he's going to go easy on you as president? Fuck no, dude.
Yeah, he's gonna light you up.
He's gonna light you up
on Truth Social or whatever the fuck.
Right, but it's
Twitter.
Right, whatever. Maybe he'll get Kanye to buy that one too. But honestly, DeSantis winning the primary against Trump is the worst thing that could happen to him because Trump would probably cost him the presidency. It would. He would. Because Trump would go, all right, cool, you beat me. It was rigged. That's bullshit. Because, by the way, it was rigged is the whole time through the primary. Every primary election from state to state, it was rigged. It was rigged. Super Tuesday, rigged if he's losing. If you happen to limp out of the primary and beat Trump, he's going to light your ass on fire because he is a psychopath. And that is the worst situation. Or you could just go, you know what? Shit's rolling pretty good. I'm president of Florida right now. I got that. I'm the president of all the Florida men that are out there. I stick around there for 4 years. Then I run against non-incumbent Democrat. And I don't have to worry about Trump. Because even if Trump wins, he's only there for 4 years. Likely not going to win anyway. If he loses, Biden gets another 4 years. He's done. And then you're on an even playing field with another Democrat. And you have more executive experience. Go for it.
Counterpoint. His star is not going to be brighter than it is right now. And
agreed.
When it comes to presidential runs, you have to strike while the iron is hot. Because if you don't strike in 2024, so he's governor until 2026, and then you somehow have to keep yourself present and out there for 2 years in the run up to the election. Yeah, and that's not easy to do.
No, it's not.
People brought up the example of Barack Obama, like when he ran in 2008. Like I'm sure plenty of people told him, "Hey, you shouldn't run." Because Hillary Clinton's going to be out there. She's going to eat your fucking lunch. But Obama's star was brightest at that time. There was no guarantee that 4 years from then he was going to have that same cachet.
Not even 4 years, 8 years. It would have been 8 years from then. Yeah.
And so I think that's the same position that DeSantis is in, is that this is the time for him. Like he's being anointed as like the next guy. Fucking Murdoch and all his entities want to back him. They don't want to back Trump right now. So we're kind of talking about the Trump announcement. We're sliding into that just naturally, I guess, here. I didn't want to talk about it before Nancy Pelosi, but whatever. But
you did this. You asked me to move that in the document.
I did. I admit it. This is the time for him, though. He will never have better odds to win than he does right now. I don't disagree with you.
I don't disagree with anything that you said.
I do agree with you, though, that if he does win, it will be like the monkey's paw of fucking Republican primary wins.
Like, it's going to be like, fuck. Like, I think, like, I cannot imagine a scenario that Trump doesn't go nuclear on him if he loses.
Do you think he would run as an independent? Trump would, if he lost the primary?
Yes, I think he would. Or worse, he would get other MAGA fucking assholes to run as independents in other states, which is even worse. To really fuck him, right? Because you could just be like, nah, fuck Trump altogether. But you could get a couple people to vote for fucking some psycho in Montana. You could get some psycho to run in California. You could get some, or not California, but like some psycho in Montana to run. And like you could get MAGA people all over to just run against him. You could.
Look, I hope it happens. I cannot, like, it's dangerous.
This pending GOP war? Where's my popcorn? I can't wait to watch them knife each other in the back.
Well, and again, it's like playing Russian roulette because you don't want Trump anywhere near the presidency and you don't want DeSantis anywhere near the presidency. But watching them knife each other, and then if DeSantis were to win, watching Trump go like fling napalm at him from afar, would be frankly fucking incredible to see. I gotta say.
Yeah, it's disaster, just disaster. I think it will be fun as hell to watch, but like you said, it is a Herschel Walker like Russian roulette situation. Because obviously I don't want either one of these guys close to power, right? To presidential power, but. No, I think these two motherfuckers are going to try to kill each other in this election. I think so. And the best thing DeSantis can do, Ron DeSanctimonious, or DeSanctimonious.
It's not 3 out of 10.
Come on. Ironically, you said 3 out of 10. Like the other day, Chris Hayes was like, he said that he goes 4 out of 10 at best. Like he was just like, that's not very good.
Like I said, there's Ron Dork Santis like that you could
like
throw
that's
out
pretty
there.
Good. That's pretty good. Like come on, man, you gotta like your supporters don't know what sanctimonious means. Come on,
I can't remember who said it, but frankly, I'm surprised he even knows that word. There's way too many syllables.
That's kind of what I said when I heard it. I was like, who told him? Like who? They were like, "What about this?" And he was like, "That's what does that word mean?" Cool.
Ron to suck ass. Like you could also
do that, right? Like that's good. That plays good at a rally, right? You know, people are like, that guy sucks, and then they'd wear the shirts. You know, Ron just sucks ass, and then they would turn right around after he beat him, and be like, well, he's our guy now. So yeah, look, I think that's going to be a disaster for Republicans, and look. The thing that people aren't counting on, and we're not counting on this either, is that those two people destroy each other, and there's a third person who comes in and just like slides on by.
Who would that third person be?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I don't either.
I don't even know who else is going to run. Who's going to run?
Well, that's the thing is that Trump coming out now probably clears the decks pretty considerably. I don't think there's a lot of dyed in the wool Republicans that want to go up against him. Maybe Mitt Romney's like, finally, it's my time. It's my time to shine again.
Not in that party, my dude. Not
anymore.
No,
certainly not.
Dude, that party used to like people like you. They don't anymore. Just being rich was enough. Now you got to be a psychopath now. Let's talk about Nancy Pelosi, and then we're going to get into the full conversation about the. You know what? Before we do that,
okay,
let's all just determine the biggest factor of why Democrats won. It's because Trump.
Yeah,
like quite literally, the percentages of people coming out and saying they voted for Republicans because they opposed Joe Biden was like 23%, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the opposite side, 28% of people that are voted for Democrats came out and said they are voting for Democrats to oppose Donald Trump, who's not on the ballot, right? Like that's how bad his name and his image and just the aura of Trump is across this country. That almost 30% of Democrats or people who would vote for Democrats, not necessarily Democrats, but would vote for Democrats. That's their reason. This dude's not even in office.
And if you're a sane Republican, still shitty, but sane, you probably had a pretty good night. Brian Kemp won pretty handily against Stacey Abrams. We talked about DeSantis. We talked about Mike DeWine already.
Right.
You had but if Trump came and campaigned for you,
you're
like you lost.
Yeah.
Unless you were in a ruby red district /state.
And look, that ain't even happening for Lauren Boebert. She's only up by like 500 points right now, or 500 votes. She's still in trouble.
Probably to go to a recount that race.
Yeah, she's in trouble. Like she's
Which
like
nobody saw coming.
Right? They're like, we're gonna win. I'm like, even if you do you know what that says about you?
Mm-hmm.
That you almost lost in a race that you were like, no one that wasn't even on anyone's radar, dude. It wasn't even on. I didn't even look it up because I was like, oh, well, of course, Lauren Boebert's hyper red ass is gonna win. Maybe not. So, I mean, she might win the recount, right? Like normally a recount changes maybe 100 votes, but she's up by like, I think a little over 500, might be a little bit lower now. So,
but the thing is, like, so now we've proven that district is like, I don't know about her. If she's going to run her mouth in the new, Republican House and be one of these fucking MAGA assholes that prevent shit from getting done, girl, you're gone. Next election. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, like all that Colorado election told me is they're gunning for you. Mm-hmm. They couldn't get enough people to realize that they could beat you this time if you do win. They realize it now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because isn't Boulder in her district now? You're fucked. You're fucked. Like that's why it's so close, right? But now that they know you're vulnerable, they'll come after you now. Mm-hmm. And guess what? You're up in a presidential election year. Best of luck. Best of luck. Like, because that's when you get the most people to come out. Like, an off year, you can I can hold it. Nah, not in 2024, buddy. Good luck. So, should be fun. So yeah, I just want to point out like the obvious biggest factor here is Donald Trump just being anywhere near this ticket. The fact that he announced before the runoff in Georgia is unbelievably stupid. But you know what? Hey. And look, another factor, just real quick, is Republicans, stop telling your people everything is rigged. When they hear it's rigged, they don't vote.
It depresses turnout. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, they're really good at voter suppression, guys. Like, they are. They're really good at it.
I don't think they meant to suppress their own people, though.
I mean, fire everything. But it's hitting our own guys. Let's just keep shooting. Maybe it'll hit their guys too. Like, oh yeah, but there's only a few of us left. Next up, Nancy Pelosi announces she is stepping down as House Leader, but not from Congress, which is really fucking fascinating.
Yeah, she just won re-election, and again, not only her, she's getting the headlines for obvious reasons, but also Steny Hoyer and Jim Clyburn are also not going to run again for party leadership in this coming Congress. Look, this has been something that we and many other Democrats have been begging Pelosi and the old guard to do. I don't think it's great when your leadership trifecta is all like octogenarians. Like, I don't think that's a good plan for success for the future. She is promoting, and I think everyone in leadership is pretty much propping up Hakeem Jeffries as the guy to lead the Democrats going forward, which would make him the first black party leader in Congress, which is a pretty big deal as well. Mm-hmm. And he can spit fire. We've talked about Hakeem Jeffries a lot. Like he's definitely a cunning linguist, as we'll say.
I like Hakeem Jeffries a lot. I think he's going to be, if he ends up being the Dem House leader and then eventually speaker. I'm totally cool with that. I'm totally cool with that.
But yeah, Nancy Pelosi. I am glad that people are mostly giving her flowers in the wake of this announcement, because again, she is the most influential speaker in any of our lifetimes. That's listening.
Undoubtedly.
The only other person that could come relatively close might be Newt Gingrich, and that's only because of the flip in '94. But then he, burned himself out of the party pretty quickly, or out of Congress pretty quickly after that. Yep. And look, nobody did more with less, I feel like, than Nancy Pelosi did. I mean, just consider that in this past congressional session, Democrats had a 5-vote advantage over Republicans, and we were still able to get pretty much any bill that we needed to get passed through Congress. That's fucking hard to do. And if you want to see a contrast, just keep your eyes peeled for the next 2 years when Kevin McCarthy is holding on to the fucking Republican caucus for dear life as he's trying to keep everyone in line.
I have a single note. I have a single note on my notepad that I made this week in preparation for this show. It has not happened yet, but I think it's going to happen. The GOP is demanding the MAGA faction of the GOP. They're in the House. They are demanding what is called a motion to vacate the chair. Do you know what this is?
I do.
So here's a little bit of political history. They did this back when John Boehner was House Speaker. Motion to vacate the chair allows for any Republican in the House to go, I don't have any confidence basically in the Speaker. Yeah. So
it's very similar to the vote of no confidence that like parliamentary seats can hold against a prime minister,
right?
In a parliamentary government.
So they can just do that and then just kind of do a snap election and be like, "You're done as Speaker." Like that's it. It's a wrap for you. Like if you just don't do one of the crazy MAGA fucking ideas, which are all crazy, incidentally. So they can do that. This is a thing that they're pushing in order for them to fully support Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House. Mm-hmm. When they did this to John Boehner, he was like, "Oh, word? Bet. Deuces. I quit. I'm out. Fuck off."
Peace
and that
out.
was
I'm
that
not dealing
was
with this shit.
Right. That was the Tea Party. Now, the Tea Party was pretty extreme for their time. They were utterly ridiculous. Oh, we've been taxed enough already. Your taxes have not gone up. Well, that's our saying, right? Like they were fucking nuts. MAGA is far worse than the Tea Party. Their requirements or the things that they want aren't just like, we need to do austerity. Their requirements are like, hey, let's not certify elections. You know what I mean? Like they're crazy shit.
Hey,
so,
we need to impeach every cabinet secretary and then Joe Biden.
Yeah, like because that's how that works. Like, but it's not how elections work. You know, okay, you guys didn't take a basic civics class. Like, oh, if we impeach Biden and Harris at the same time, then we can make the Speaker of the House the president. Like but that's not how. All right, you know what? Fuck it, guys. Don't worry about it.
Newsflash, Republican Party. Why don't you go ahead and read a book about 1998 and see how impeaching the president for purely political reasons goes for the party that usually is overstepping a little bit.
Right.
Like people are like, oh, they got Trump twice. Yeah, they impeached Trump for legitimate bullshit.
Yeah, not nonsense. Like not just utter nonsense. Look, hey, go ahead, do it. Why don't you do it right before an election year? See how that works out for you. As Lewis Black most famously said, Republicans during the Clinton impeachment, they had their guns and they had their sights set right on Bill Clinton, and right before they pulled the trigger, they turned the gun and shot themselves in the face. Like, yeah, that's exactly what will happen.
I mean, but
Hunter Biden's laptop. Like, that's not.
Well, it's funny because it would literally become the same thing as the Clinton impeachment was, because the Clinton impeachment and the special counsel investigation, if you remember, it wasn't like the thing that they got Bill Clinton for, I'm using big air quotes for that, wasn't what they originally set out to investigate.
Nope. Not at all.
They basically went on like a fishing expedition and they're like, oh, let's find the best thing we can get him on. That's exactly what they would try to do with Joe Biden, is that they would just have like a fucking fishing expedition hearing that they would go through and just try to find the best thing, and they'd be like, oh, this is what we're impeaching him for. We're impeaching him for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they're talking about doing investigations the second they get in the new year on Hunter Biden and his laptop. Okay.
Well, I mean, and
go ahead.
Did you see it in that press conference today? Like they were trying to show like this evidence they had, and like the reporters were like asking, like basically calling them out on their bullshit. And I think it was Jim Comer came in and he's like, can we keep these questions focused on Hunter Biden, because we think this is pretty important. Like even the media is like, dog, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, where's the laptop? Isn't there like 4 of them? Doesn't Rudy Giuliani have one of them, and it has kitty porn on it? But he just has it in his house. Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah,
and the thing is, like, I don't think Biden's going to give it. Like they've already talked to Biden about that stuff, and Biden's not going to play that game. He already isn't. Like they're like I think they asked him like, what if the Republicans take the House and they start investigating your son? What does he say? He's like, oh, in the words of my old high school football coach, he's like, good luck on Sunday.
Yeah, like all right. Like best of luck.
I'm going to be right. And the best thing that he can do in that stuff, he's like, look, they can do whatever the fuck they want. He's like, I'm taking care of the country's business. Like, I'm not going to be distracted by this dumb shit.
Yeah. Look, that's been his claim to fame, man. He's like Joe Cool. Like, he just does not get flustered. One of the things, like, look, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, I'm not here to debate it. I have my own personal feelings on it or whatever. But they asked him, like, the day after, or maybe 2 or 3 days after the midterms, they were like, well, what do you say to people who say that you shouldn't run for re-election? And he was like, do you think about that? And he was like, yeah, sure, I think about it. And they were like, what if they tell you not to run? It was just like, tell them I am running. Like, that's all he said. That's all he said. It was amazing. It was just like, yeah, I'm running. Like, go fuck yourself. I'm running. Like, you mad about it? Like, be mad. Like, we've discussed this. I'm running for president. Like, you don't have to vote for me. Like, we'll fight that out. But, like, I'm running.
Well, plus, even if he eventually is not running, he's not going to say that until the absolute last possible minute that he has to.
Right.
Because why would you?
Yeah, what? Because, like, the second you say it, then you're a lame duck. Like,
right.
No, fuck that. I'd be like, and what's your last day to declare? It's tomorrow. I'm not running. Like, surprise. Yeah. Like, yeah. Let Harris run.
Let's get this shit done over the next 18 months. Let's make this shit happen. So
right. So it's it's crazy. But I did like his very cool response, like, I am running. Like, but what if they tell you that's cool? They can say whatever they want. I am running. Like, go fuck yourselves. Like,
I'm the president.
This is what I do.
Right.
Does anyone have any ice cream? Yeah. So look, Nancy Pelosi stepping down, Hakeem Jeffries as the possible takeover. Apparently, inside reporting is saying that Democrats in the House are basically like, it's Hakeem Jeffries' seat to lose, right? Like, he would just have to not want it at this point. And she's been grooming him for a couple of years on it.
Yeah, he's been very much touted as the heir apparent. So
yeah, for quite some time. I do like that Pelosi and Clyburn and Hoyer are all staying. They're staying. They're not like we're all retiring. Like, they're like, no, we're gonna be around. Like, knock it the fuck off. Like, we're still here, and they're gonna run it until they all collapse in the building. I assume.
No, I honestly, I think I wouldn't be surprised if all three of them, this was the last term that they serve. Honestly,
I mean,
Pelosi
doesn't need to be there any more than 2 more years.
No, I think they're there just to shepherd the new guys in leadership to help them out. And then once their feet are under them, they're gone. Apparently, reportedly, the Biden administration is kind of holding open the ambassador to Italy post for Pelosi whenever she wants to step down, essentially.
Really?
Yeah. So maybe she might not even go through the entire term. Like, she just, stays for 6 months and is like, all right, deuces, you guys got this.
I'm gonna go eat pasta.
I'm gonna go to Italy. Yeah.
not a bad retirement, man. Like,
yeah.
I mean, she's an amazing politician. She can handle it. I mean, Italy's got a couple of wackadoodle issues right now, obviously. So you kind of do want somebody who's serious, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, shit's probably pretty cool over there. Like, it's not that bad, right? They're not in the middle of a fucking civil war,
Right.
So it's like, yeah, she's probably like, oh no, fettuccine or spaghetti. That's my entire understanding of Italian culture.
I mean, it's spot on. Spot on.
Pesto. See. Speaking of culture wars, the GOP is in full out war. We've kind of discussed this a little bit, but in reference to Kevin McCarthy and stuff like that, I just don't see how this is not going to be the Marjorie Taylor Greenes and the Donald Trumps of that party telling Kevin McCarthy what to do. And I don't see Kevin McCarthy lasting 2 years as speaker, to be honest.
Well, she I can't believe I'm about to say this. Marjorie Taylor Greene probably with the most deft take.
Yeah, it was actually surprising. It was surprising. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, where Matt Gaetz is out here I'm not fucking supporting Kevin McCarthy for speaker and
Did you hear what he said?
I did hear what he said.
He was he basically said something to the effect.
He said there's five of us in the caucus that would rather be waterboarded by Liz Cheney than vote for Kevin McCarthy as speaker, and I'm one of them.
No. I hadn't heard that. That's not the quote I'm talking about.
Oh.
No,
He had another one.
he said, I'm paraphrasing, but the part that I'm going to say, you'll know this part I'm not making up. This is actually in the actual quote. He said, like, basically, he called out Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Because I was like, ooh, oh shit, like, there's a war now, because like the two of them are thick as thieves, right? He was basically like, listen, her supporting Kevin McCarthy is a huge mistake, because he's gonna like basically like turn his back on her and fuck her over. He's like, he's gonna blast her out of there faster than you can say Jewish space laser. That's what he fucking said. I was like, dude.
I did.
My God.
No, but she's actually right. Like, yes,
she's absolutely right.
Support the guy that can get the votes. Like yes. He's someone that everyone would vote for in the caucus, and then she owns his bitch ass basically.
Now, here's the thing. She's right, but then she goes off the rails because brain don't work so good. No. She said something to the effect, it's in that article that's linked in the show notes, something to the effect of, like, if we don't vote for Kevin McCarthy, the guy who can get the 218 votes and everything else for speaker, then the Democrats will come and then they'll snatch up this opportunity and then they'll give the speakership to Liz Cheney. Like, what? What are you talking about? Like, look, I get it. You don't like Liz Cheney, and Liz Cheney has done something that you find deeply offensive, calling Trump out on his own bullshit. But, like, don't get it twisted. Nancy Pelosi doesn't like Liz Cheney or trust her to be Speaker of the House. You giving a Cheney that much power? Are you out of your fucking mind? No. But, like, it was just like, oh, this is sane. Oh, there's the Marjorie Taylor Greene I know. Yeah, she's a nutcase.
Right. Well, and again, assuming that, like, fucking, the Progressive Caucus is going to be like, yeah, no, let's vote for Liz Cheney as speaker. That's a great idea. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Breaking news, Brad. You and I talked about this a little bit before the show, but little breaking news. We'll get to him later in the show. Twitter just alerted employees that effective immediately, all office buildings are temporarily closed and badge access is suspended.
Oh, yeah.
No details given as to why. Bye-bye. This shit is a wrap. Within days, this is going to be a fucking mess. Is it even still up?
Well, let's check. Can I refresh my feed? Let's find out. Yeah, it's still going on. So
someone put up rest in peace my timeline. Yeah, it's fucked. It's going to be fucked. Cool. I can't wait. I can't wait to be on the precipice of watching someone lose $44 billion.
Here's a great quote from a Times article. Quote, Mr. Musk and Twitter, which no longer has a communications department, did not respond to requests for comment.
Yeah, I saw that.
Seems not great. We'll talk about him later. So.
Oh my God. What an idiot.
Like I said, I'm very excited to watch Republicans tear each other apart. I mean, I have to imagine that they're going to come back together before the 2024 election. You'd have to assume that it's not that they're not going to splinter off into like a third fucking wackadoodle party. But who knows?
Look, I wish
if it was ever going to happen,
it's now.
Be when it happens. Yes.
Like, I mean, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene came out the other day and like openly and publicly said, Ron DeSantis, please don't run for president. We need Donald Trump. Well, do you? Spoiler alert, you don't, and you should probably count your lucky stars that you have an off-ramp. But if he does run, if DeSantis does run, where's Marjorie Taylor Greene going to go? She can go for Trump. But where are people like Gates? Apparently, is kind of leaning towards DeSantis because he's in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so
that would be really interesting if he were to flip to try to hang out with the sane guys. They're like, "What the fuck are you doing here? You fucking child molester?
Yeah, turn your teeth down and get out of here." So yeah, you never know.
Did you see Elise Stefanik come out before Trump even announced and pledge her support to Trump for 24? Make me speaker, please.
Yeah,
I want to win.
Yeah, and look, he could have, and he could just easily lean on that fucking race and be like, nah, MAGA people, Stefanik's the person. And it would just, even if she doesn't win, it's enough to just fuck over Kevin McCarthy. And that, like, to me, that's emblematic of what's to come in the next 2 years. Like, they are.
I do kind of want to see Kevin McCarthy lose, just because I want to see all the dick sucking and all the kowtowing that he's done just end up with fucking nothing to show for it at the end of the day.
I mean, Trump's guy, I forget who it was, one of his like top advisors, like John McGillicuddy or whatever. Like, he was just like, listen, if McCarthy wants this speakership, he needs to do what Stefanik did. He needs to bend the knee. I mean,
well, apparently Trump does. Apparently, Trump does think he should be speaker.
Oh, really? Because
apparently,
oh, that's right. He wants Rick Scott to be.
He wanted Rick Scott to be Senate Majority Leader. I think he does support McCarthy speaker because he knows that he can control. Senate Minority Leader, Republican leader. He knows he can control Kevin McCarthy, or he thinks he can control Kevin McCarthy, and he probably can because Kevin McCarthy sucks. So
yeah, we shall see.
I mean, Ken McCarthy was the dude who found the semblance of a backbone in the wake of the January 6th attacks and criticized Trump publicly, and then 3 weeks later was kissing the ring at Mar-a-Lago. So
doing his stance next to him, his arms out like a fucking weirdo. Yeah, look, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Like, the best part of this midterms is knowing that, one, Republicans don't control both chambers, but the second best part is knowing that Joe Biden can put in a record number of federal judges to try to fix the shitstorm that Donald Trump made happen. And I believe he's already appointed more federal judges than Trump did. So, and most of them have backgrounds as like public defenders and things like that, which is great.
And not only that, the reason why the Georgia runoff is very important is because if we can get to 51 senators, that gives a lot more investigation power to the Senate that they haven't had for the last for this term or for this Congress, because it's been a split committee assignment. So
yeah, no, that's good. That's a good thing. All right, Trump announces that he's running in 2024.
I didn't watch any of the speech.
Fuck,
I heard it was very low energy. Yeah, I heard it was very low energy. Fox News even cut away from it.
MSNBC didn't run it at all.
Yeah.
They were just like, no, fuck off. Let me ask you a question. This is the big question.
Yes.
Do you think he can win?
Win the primary or win the general?
General.
No.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't
think there's any way.
I don't think it's a thing to go, we got it in the bag, don't worry about it. No, don't do that. But do I think, if I'm looking at the lay of the land and where things are, in my honest opinion, no, I don't think he has a good chance. Look, it's not just us saying it. Believe it or not, Bill O'Reilly is still alive. I didn't know that.
Allegedly.
He took whatever the fucking deal was in, Death Becomes Her, and he was like, I'll take that deal. And he was like, all right, let's put a hole in your chest. Like, that guy's still alive. But he made this point in a clip I saw today. I shared it with you. He's like, listen, here are the states that will never vote for Donald Trump. And when you tally up those states, these are hardcore blue states. And he's just talking about Trump. He's not talking about Republicans. He's just talking about Trump. When you tally up that score, and he's 100% right about those states, by the way, that equals 210 electoral votes. You need 270 to win, which means you need to run the board on 90% of the rest of the country. Because I think it was like 10 states.
Yeah.
He can't. He's less popular now than he was 8 years ago. He's older. He's crazier. And he's missing one thing that he had 8 years ago. People didn't really know what he would do. And they were like, maybe he'll like shake it up and show us aliens or some shit. You never know, the crazy guy might be the best. But now you know what the crazy guy would do. And you know how exhausting those 4 years were. Look, I'm sure there are Republicans who are like, well, these last 4 years with Biden have been exhausting. For you, sure, I guess, right? Like, I guess it's always exhausting have the other guy in. But I think it was exhausting for everyone when Trump was in.
Republicans were exhausted during the Trump years. You kidding me?
It's exhausting to be like, oh, fuck, what did he say today? Oh, fuck, is he threatening to bomb North Korea? Like, that's exhausting. That like outrage fatigue wears on people.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that with Joe Biden. Like you just don't.
No.
One, you don't hear from him every day, and every report you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, stop saying things, right? Like
that was another criticism that Fox had, like when they were bemoaning the results of midterms. They're like, we just like Republicans just don't hate Joe Biden, like Democrats hate Donald Trump, or like Republicans hated Obama. I'm like, and Hillary Clinton. I'm like, yeah, because he's just Joe.
Right. Like, even if you disagree with the guy, like, he doesn't come off in a way that, like, just, it's like, makes it magnetic for, like, I just want to fucking kill this guy. Like, he's the worst. Like, people just don't have that for him. They're just like, all right, I don't agree with this guy. And, like, and you might even vehemently disagree with this guy, but he doesn't draw that level of hate towards him. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't. Look, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama do, one, minority, two, woman. That's it. Mm-hmm. Like, but not their demeanor, not the way that they handle policy. Like, it's not. Like, they're just as cool as he is. Shit, Barack Obama's cooler than fucking any of them. He's just like Mr. No Nonsense. Like, here's the business. Like, yada yada yada. He was fucking boring in a lot of ways. But Biden is those things, and he's a white guy. So they're like, I don't have an inherent thing to hate about him, right?
Right.
That I can just see on television.
Is he? Okay, I guess so.
Joe Biden. So. It's a wild criticism. So. I don't think that he can beat Biden in a general election. I think that the idea of like the SCOTUS isn't important, guys. Like, ignore that tweet I sent that one time. That shit's not going to rock this time. Mm-hmm. All those like blue check ultra leftists who tried to like say, hey, conflating those two guys, that shit doesn't work anymore because you know him. He is a known entity, and that really fucking matters. It really does. So, yep. I don't think so. And like his disapproval is like over 55%, I think, nationwide. And like I think it was over 60% in Michigan alone.
Well, and the other problem is you're
too deep.
He has no message discipline. Like, even if he wins the nomination, what is he going to talk about during the run up to the presidential election? They fucking stole it from me in 2020. I should still be the president. This, that, like
I should get 8 years.
Get off of it.
I should get 8 years. I guarantee you that will be one of his arguments. I should get 8 years as president. He's made that before. He's made that argument before.
Yeah, I know. But again, he has no message discipline, and he's going to talk, and he's going to try to talk about inflation and shit like that.
You don't understand
that. What the fuck's he going to say?
By the way, his hour-long announcement. Fuck everyone who decided to go to that. By the way, they blocked the doors.
Apparently, a bunch of people were trying to leave, and security was not letting one out.
They're like, no, this look best for TV. Like, no, you guys don't. Fuck. And the first guy got out. He's like, yes, I made it. Thank God. But during his hour-long speech, that's all he talked about. The 2020 election, fucking the border, he just rehashed all of the same speeches. Like I caught a clip of it. They played it on the radio, and it was like, inflation's really bad. It's bad in Germany. I remember when I was talking to what's her name? Angela Merkel, right? He's like, Angela, does anyone remember Angela? And then like it cuts to the clip, it's like, and it cuts in with Sean Hannity. He's like, okay, we're going to talk about like, and they just cut away from it when he was doing his fucking Angela Merkel thing. And it was weird. That juice ain't there anymore.
No.
The juice ain't there. And his biggest power move was that you just didn't know what he was going to do. And now people know, and it's like, nah, I'm good, man. I don't need 4 more years of that shit.
Well, you're not the outsider anymore.
Right. Well, he still pretends like he's not a politician. I'm like,
yeah, but again, drain the swamp doesn't work when you're running for re-election 4 years after you were the president. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like that doesn't fly.
Yeah, why didn't you do it then? Well,
it Reswamp'd-afied in 4 years with Joe Biden as president. We have to drain it again.
I don't know, man. That's a pretty good show title. it Reswamp'd-afied. Yeah. Like it's
I took a plunger and unclogged it, and all the sludge went away, and then Joe Biden put the plug back in, and now it's all swampy again. I'm like, okay, Donald, I guess. And look, it's tough. It is tough to go to battle for the presidency in general. It is even tougher when your woman's not at your side anymore as well.
Oh, Ivanka. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, she gave up the fucking bullshit during his speech.
During the speech.
She sent that out during the speech, like, I will not be running. Oh, excuse me. I will not be running in my father's campaign.
I'm not going to be in politics anymore. I'm going to stay home and be a mother and make cheap handbags. And
and sell them to women who are really misguided about what quality is.
I mean, look, Jared Kushner got $1.5 billion from Saudi Arabia. He's fine. $2 billion?
$2 billion. $2 billion.
He's good.
Yeah, so it's she sent that shit out. Look, Donald Trump Jr. wasn't there.
It's like I couldn't catch a flight.
Yeah, I was stuck big game hunting. Like, all right, dude, your dad's announcing he's going to be running for president for the third time. You couldn't have left shooting caged animals because, like, let's get real. You couldn't have left a day early. Nah, I couldn't make it. The only people of his 5 kids that were there was Eric and Barron.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Barron has to be there because he's a minor, right? And Eric
was Melania even there?
I assume she was there. I did see someone say, like, I can't imagine the amount of money that he had to pay Melania to get her to agree to this shit for 4 more years.
Like she's going to be in DC at all. She's probably just going to stay in New York. Are you kidding me?
Do you think people are cool with her, like, walking around as a socialite? Or do they feel sorry for her? Or do you think they're just like, get fucked?
Honestly, who gives a shit? I could not care less.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah.
As far as I understand, she's been banging
I don't
some
care,
security.
Do you?
No, yeah. Fucking put that jacket on.
That's right.
No, I was saying that about the Democrats. Like, okay. Sure you were. All right. No, but I honestly don't think he can win. I don't.
No, not in general. Not anymore. I mean, and again, the proof's in the pudding. Midterm election, depressed turnout, typically works great for the party not in power. All of his candidates got the shit kicked out of them. Every single one. Unless they were in a state where they were going to win anyway.
You think he gets out of the primary?
Ooh, I think DeSantis would be the only one that would actually be able to take him down.
I think so.
So
I mean,
really
here's the thing:
if he decides to run.
I
don't even know if he can, I don't even know if he could, honestly.
I don't know, man. Like, DeSantis has no personality.
No. Trump
is all id and he's all personality. And look, he's got charisma. It's douche charisma, but he has it. You know what the determining factor is? I think if Trump keeps banging on the fact that the 2020 election was stolen from him, he will lose. If he can learn to get out of his own way and let that shit go and just be like, I'm running for president, like, just say it once, they fucked me, I'm coming back. He could win the primary. But if he harps on that 2020 thing, he just comes off as a sore loser. And people are going to be like, nah, we're done with it.
And that's where DeSantis could actually hurt him. You know what I mean? Because it's like I could see DeSantis pull out a line like, well, I didn't have to sweat, worry about the election being stolen from me in Florida because I won by 20 points. You know what I mean? I'm not losing popular vote by 7 million votes to have it be even a question.
Now, here's a factor. I mean, I think that's actually a great way to hit him. I can't wait for these debates. They're going to be so good. I got to tell you, I am looking forward to us discussing the following thing. Here's a dark horse candidate we've not thought about for the Republicans. Mm-hmm. Mike Pence. Like, I mean, obviously Mike Pence is coming, right? Like, it's happening.
I mean,
the way that you're laughing makes me feel like you're not taking a Mike Pence presidential run seriously.
I got to say, I saw some clips from the town hall that he did with Jake Tapper last night on CNN, and
not good.
Got to tell you, I don't know if Mike Pence is the guy that's going to really, be able to wrestle the control of the party from Donald Trump. The charismatic dynamo though he is,
the bucket of mayonnaise with a face.
I mean, Jake Tapper literally was like, Donald Trump tried to murder you and your family. Your thoughts. And Mike Pence like, I'm praying for Donald Trump. I'm praying for the president, and forgiveness is not optional when you're a devout Christian like me. And this, I was like, wow, dude, like, get the fuck out of here,
dude. Just be like, fuck that guy. You get a lot further. People would be like, all right, I mean, like, I respect it. Like,
what else? Oh, he also said like, oh, like the January 6th committee doesn't have the right to my testimony. And Jake Tapper's like, why do you say that? And he's like, well, because that's a committee that's being formed by a single party. He's like, that's just not right. And Jake Tapper's like, yeah, but they appointed Republicans and Kevin McCarthy pulled them out. He's like, yo, but like it's being driven by Senate committee. That's not what you do in Congress. And he's like, but the Republicans did that when you were in Congress. he's like, the Katrina stuff was all Republicans. He's like, and you guys did like Benghazi committees and shit like that Democrats didn't have anything to do with.
He was like, no, but those are valid. Like, why were they valid? Well, if I say they weren't, then it's devastating to my case. So
yeah. So no, I don't think Mike Pence is going to be too big of a threat. To the other two. I think Trump will enjoy having Mike Pence there as a punching bag.
Dude, he's going to kick the shit out of Mike Pence in those debates. He is going to kick the shit out of him. And it's going to be like, I'm actually feeling sorry for Mike Pence because like Mike Pence is like, oh, he put my family and me and my family in danger. Yeah, that's the best that's the most you could pull up on that. Like, nah, again, or look, maybe the new Mike Pence, 2024 Mike Pence is going to be like, he gonna bring the heat in that debate, but I doubt it.
No, Mike Pence would be better off if he even wants to be in politics anymore. Just fucking go run for senator in Indiana, and that way you can get your anti-mutant legislation to Congress if you want to. So.
Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.